Don't even keep it on silent mode.
A proud moment for me today as I, Varsha Rokde, Secretary of the Bar Council of Maharashtra and Goa, on behalf of the International Council of Jurists, National Human Rights Commission of India, All India Bar Association, and Indian Council of Jurists, welcome His Excellency, the Vice President of India, Shri M. Hamid Ansari, His Lordship, Dr. Justice K.G. Balakrishnan, Chairman, National Human Rights Commission of India, His Lordship, Justice V.S. Shirpurkar, Judge, Supreme Court of India, Honorable Sir James Mancham, Founding President of the Republic of Seychelles, Honorable Lord Sir Justice Mark Potter, former Head of Family Justice for England and Wales, Honorable Mr. C.L. Rola, Member of Parliament, Vice President, Indian Council of Jurists, along with Honorable Dr. Adesh Agarwala, President, International Council of Jurists, and Chairman, All India Bar Association, as also the dignitaries of the dais, ladies and gentlemen, for the International Conference of Jurists on International Terrorism and Presentation of International Jurists Award 2010, as also National Day Award 2010. An American poet once said, "Don't ask what the world needs. Ask what makes you come alive, and go do it, because what the world needs is people who have come alive." I'm sure Dr. Adesh Agarwala, the mastermind behind this conference, has made us all come alive to the need for promoting administration of justice, legal awareness, and the rule of law. May I now request Dr. Adesh Agarwala to present the welcome address.
Thank you. Honorable Vice President of India, Mr. Hamid Ansari, Honorable Chairperson of the National Human Rights Commission of India, Dr. Justice K.G. Balakrishnan, Honorable Judge of Supreme Court of India, Mr. Justice V.S. Shirpurkar, distinguished awardees of the International Jurist Awards and National Law Day Awards, Your Excellencies, the High Commissioners and Ambassadors of different countries, Honorable Judges, Members of Parliament, bar leaders, bureaucrats, distinguished delegates from different parts of the world, respected law teachers, media persons, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning to all. On behalf of the International Council of Jurists, National Human Rights Commission of India, All India Bar Association and Indian Council of Jurists, I extend a warm welcome to all of you. We are fortunate that the conference is taking place under the blessings of the Honorable Vice President of India, Mr. Hamid Ansari. Mr. Ansari is a scholar of eminence, as is renowned in India and abroad for his extraordinary ability as a statesman. It fills my heart with pleasure and pride to meet distinguished personalities from different walks of life from across the globe. The world is passing through a critical stage and has witnessed an unprecedented spate of terrorist attacks. Each new incident of terrorism brings the issue of terrorism right to the forefront. Terrorism is a global problem and international collaborated efforts are needed to tackle it. In this scenario, the law is expected to play a definite and positive role in strengthening national security. It must rise to the occasion and make it conducive for an integrated effort to curb terrorism. This bestows a special responsibility on us jurists to take a fresh look at the present legal structure and examine where there is any need for change. It is with the single objective of an empowered and united world, free of war and terrorism, that we have gathered here today. The jurists of the entire world are of the view that we should take all steps to weed out terrorism and make the world a better place to live with peace and harmony. I sincerely believe that our earnest endeavor will bear fruit. I am happy to inform all of you that our next conference on the subject will be held in London on 21st and 22nd May and in Washington, D.C. on 26th and 27th May 2011. Thank you.
It's my honor to now request the eminent statesman, distinguished personality, a man of noble spirit and humanitarian principles to address the gathering. His Excellency, the Vice President of India, Shri Hamid Ansari, to do the honors, please.
Honorable Justice K.G. Balakrishnan, Dr. Adish Agarwal, Honorable Justice Sirputkar, Sir James Mankham, Sir Justice Mark Potter, Shri Ruala, distinguished guests, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. I am pleased to inaugurate this conference of jurists on international terrorism and human rights. You have a packed schedule of wide-ranging deliberations on key issues that impact critically on our daily lives. I commend this distinguished audience of jurists, academics, and legal experts who have gathered here today to discuss these themes. It is also topical to discuss human rights, yesterday being the Human Rights Day. It was on this day in 1948 that the UN General Assembly adopted and proclaimed the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. It remains the universal and fundamental recognition of the fact that the inherent dignity and the equality of inalienable rights of all members of the human family are the foundation of freedom, justice, and peace in the world. It is also appropriate that this year, the Human Rights Day is dedicated to the human rights defenders who play a vital role in protecting human rights of others, facing personal risks to them and their families. It is perhaps a statement of our times that all nations and people have been affected by the global menace of terrorism. It is not only an insult, it is not only an assault on human decency and a negation of fundamental human rights, but also knows no boundaries and poses serious threats to human rights. Terrorism has also come to represent a threat to international peace and security, especially when terrorists are armed, financed, and backed directly or indirectly by governments or their agencies. International terrorism is an international crime threatening the integrity and the political and social fabric of states. Its sinister element is vastly magnified in its impact when it is enmeshed with drug trafficking, arms proliferation, international financial crimes, and generic forms of extremism, fundamentalism, separatism, and intolerance. Our globalized world is characterized by enhanced levels of resort to violence by state and non-state actors within and across borders. Global threats to peace and security necessitate coordinated and global responses. We therefore believe that the adoption of a comprehensive convention against international terrorism would provide a solid legal basis for the fight against terrorism. However, we must also note that legal systems in many countries have resorted to doctrines of necessity to incorporate exceptional and extraordinary legislation to deal with this surge of violence. The challenge for governments and legal systems is to deal effectively with violence within the framework of normal laws and respect for human rights and fundamental freedoms. Ladies and gentlemen, there is one other important aspect relating to the subject matter of this conference. The enjoyment of human rights is closely related to the prevalence of good governance norms. In India, we remain committed to democratic governance, inclusive development, and the implementation of the rule of law. This commitment has been challenged in practice by departures from good governance manifest through corruption and the deleterious influence of money power. Corruption has inhibited the enjoyment of human rights, has contributed to inequalities in income, status, and opportunities, and thus thwarted human development of our citizens. We must recognize that good governance without any trace of corruption is also a human right. Friends, human rights today are increasingly discussed in the context of violence, use of force, and terrorism. The idea that the central objective of human rights is to empower people through human development does not find adequate mention in contemporary debates. It is only when the capacities of citizens are fully developed, their choices widened, and freedoms expanded that human rights would have achieved their objective. I thank the organizers of this conference for inviting me to this function, and I wish you all success in your deliberations. Jai Hind.
We thank you, sir, for the successful initiation of this program, so essential for our nation's health. Our heartfelt gratitude for the eloquent address and guidance. Honorable Vice President had to leave due to some urgency.